Hey, this is Kragan from Heathen, and you're watching CMS TV.
All right, we are back right here on Chris Aiken Presents. Eric, what you think, man? That was pretty fun, right?
Man, I love that. And he's from Jersey, too.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm from Jersey. I'm from Jersey.
I've heard you're from Jersey.
Right. What exit?
I don't know. The one that Tony gets off on?
Yeah, people from Jersey. What exit?
That's all any of us know about Jersey, the fucking Sopranos. Sorry. We stink. But
there's other things he said, too, that I love that I say all the time, like to Susan, because she's always up my ass. I'm like, why you gotta be busting my balls?
Well, Blitz is a character
all the time.
I can't believe he remembered that he was in fucking New Orleans last time I talked to him. Jesus, that was crazy. But some guys have good memories, that's for sure.
It did look like he got the nickname Blitz by.
That could have been. That's okay. He used to throw down. But here's a guy that used to throw down and has thrown down with me many times.
Nice.
Mr. Joe Kleon. Joe, how are you, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. Good to have you once again. This is Eric.
Hey, Eric, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So Joe, I'm gonna introduce you to Eric by saying Eric is like you. He's a cat guy. Now you know my propensity of not liking pets at all, which I know you hate.
That's why I brought my Nani tonight.
That's why he brought the gun to keep me under control.
If I was a pet, I would hate you, Chris.
Especially a Playboy playmate or a playmate or penthouse pet or whatever. But no, dude. But in seriousness, I'll just put it this way: as a non-pet person, the reason I'm not a pet person is because I know I wouldn't take care of a pet. And therefore, I just don't have one. There's nothing worse than the people that have pets for status. And then the minute they break up with their girl or whatever, then they abuse the pet. So I appreciate you pet people. And you are way over the edge with the pet thing, with with this charity that you're involved in. So let's start there, man. But so that people know everything that you're doing here. Talk a little bit about the charity that's now the auction that's running and the charity that you're involved in.
Yeah, the charity is a no-kill cat rescue. It's called Kitten Krazy. It's in Medina, Ohio. All the cats are free roaming. There's no cages. So you walk in, there's these giant rooms of 7,000 square feet, and the cats just roam around. You sit down on the couch, and the cat that's going to pick you comes over and picks you, basically.
The cat picks you.
It does. That's the way it always works. As I said, it's a no-kill shelter. It's a 501c3 nonprofit, and I started volunteering as their photographer about 9 years ago. And then I started doing these fundraisers. I figured I could take some of my concert photos, put them online, and raise some money for a great cause. So that's what I'm doing again now for the 5th time.
Right, and for people that don't know Joe, Joe's not, when he says he's donating his art is true art. It's not. His photography is as good as any. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I proudly used one of Joe's pieces of work, which he could not have been a better friend to let me use for the cover of my Judas Priest book, and the front and back, 2 different photos for that. And I have a beautiful piece on Roger Waters on my wall. I mean, Joe's work is, I'm gonna put some up on the screen while we're talking so that it's not. This one right here I used as my back cover on my book.
Wow.
I don't have the front one here. I thought I had the book here, but I don't. But I mean,
I can send that to you if you could transition it real quick.
Yeah, email it over to me, and I will.
Also, how about Facebook message? Does that work?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
I can get it. I can flip it.
Razor blade.
But yeah, I mean, Joe's eye, and I'm not just kissing his ass because he's here, because I've told him this, numerous times. Joe's work is as good as anything you're ever going to see anywhere. Anything that you're going to see on Getty Images, anything that you're going to see from, Mark Weiss or Niels Lautner, whatever his name, the Neil Z, whatever that guy's name is.
Slowzauer.
Yeah. It's a rare gift in my opinion, to be able to capture moments, because they're 1/100th of a second, they're gone. And, and to be able to capture so many for so many years, that's a true gift, man. And, I know it sounds like I'm kissing your ass. Maybe I'm a little bit, but I appreciate the work.
No, thank you very much. I just Facebook messaged you the cover of your priest book, that photo, where I actually cheated and popped up the flash on my camera to get the perfect shot. But that's one thing I really like about concert photography. What you were talking about is that it's difficult. I can sit in the field and get a shot of somebody perfect every time because you can sit there for an hour and keep changing your settings. But when you're doing a concert, the lights are changing every 5 seconds. It's really difficult. And I can shoot in the same venue 100 times, and every time it's just as difficult as the first. And that's what I like about it, because I never can rest on my laurels. I can never take it easy. It's always a challenge, and I like that.
Well, and when you're taking the pictures too, and this is another thing, and I want you and Eric to kind of talk through this a little bit, because I don't know if you know this, Joe, but Eric is Stephen Piercy's guitar player.
Did I meet him when we were with Stephen at the Kent stage?
Probably, yes.
I probably did.
In fact, you absolutely did.
Yeah,
because he's the one that got me in. So,
Nice.
So, I on the photographer standpoint, I know it's always a pain in the ass, and there's always different rules with different bands. Some want you to shoot from the back of the building, some want you to shoot from the front, but they only want you to shoot the first 2 songs or 30 seconds of the first 3 songs. Or
I just say, don't get my bald spot.
Well, as the photographer, Joe, what is it? What is most convenient for you? Not necessarily convenient as in just being there, but what is most convenient for you to get the best shot? Is it being close, or is it being maybe isolated away from other photographers so that you're not crawling over each other to get a good shot?
It's usually close because you're right there, and it's usually better. But sometimes from the soundboard from far away, it's great too, because you can get the crowd interacting with the performer, which you can't get when you're in front of the crowd in the pit in front of the barrier. Right. So they're both good. But if I had a choice, I would rather be in the pit. I would rather be close up.
Right. Do you have problems ever where the other people get in your way and they're just pains in the ass?
Oh my God, all the time. Well, there used to be a thing like before the pandemic, and there's some Facebook pages for concert photographers, and there's a thing called pit etiquette. There's things you do and there's things you don't do. And I kind of was out of it for about 3 years after, during the pandemic, and I'm just getting back into it this summer. And I shot a show, Our Lady Peace at House of Blues.
Okay.
And there was no fucking pit etiquette whatsoever. This chick had this backpack that was like 8 feet extended behind her. Oh, and you don't do shit like that because you need to move around, and the pit is and the area in front of the barrier, between the barrier and the stage, is very narrow.
Right.
And you don't do stuff like that. And people would stand in front of me, just walk in front of me and just stop right in front of me and just start shooting. And that, when you walk in front of somebody, you would duck down under their camera so you don't get in the way of their shots. And
right.
I used to know everybody that was in the pit because I've been doing it for so long. And I think I knew 1 or 2 of the 7 people that were there for Our Lady Peace. 7 people. Wow. I wouldn't usually not see 7 people for like Springsteen or, Roger Waters. And there was 7 people crammed into the pit at House of Blues. That was that was an interesting show.
Yeah, no kidding. Now for you, Eric, I'm gonna put real quick. This is the shot that he took. That is my cover of my book. So
nice.
Just a brilliant picture. I mean,
you were at that show, weren't you, Chris? 2012. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, I was definitely there, and I just remember I was leaving. I'll tell the story. I was trying to find the right priest picture, and I couldn't find anything that I liked. And then you just hit me up. Me and you were just bullshitting. And I just asked you if you had any priest pictures, and you were like, here, boom, use whatever you want. And I was like, oh, all right.
Behold.
And I was like, I like this one. This is fucking phenomenal.
He held that pose for probably 10 seconds, and his entire face was completely dark. There was no lights on them. And I took like 4 or 5 shots and I looked at the camera. I'm like, oh, this looks like shit. It's dark.
Right.
And I popped the flash up on my camera and took like 2 quick shots and popped it back down, because no flash is always the rule. And if they catch you using a flash, they'll throw you out.
Right.
But I had to cheat to get that picture, but it was worth it because his face was perfectly lit up in that shot. And it was only because I cheated.
It's an absolute gorgeous picture.
Speaking of cheating, let me ask you, do you ever use, like, I guess it's not cheating, but say in a situation where you had a great shot, but the face was dark, like there's filters now, and there's ways you could bring out those discrepancies and kind of fix them digitally. Are you against that? Are you old school or what?
Oh, no, I'm not against that at all. There's the software that I use to process photos. You can do all that kind of stuff. And I kind of equate it to a guitarist EQing, and you can record the perfect guitar track in the studio, but you can always make it better when you add a little EQ to it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm doing, is just EQing my photos.
Nice.
Right on. Now, Eric, I want to ask you this, and maybe Joe can chime in on this as well. When is a photographer a pain in the ass for you as the musician?
They're never a pain to me. I mean, unless I know that they're taking pictures from a bad angle, which, like I said, would be like the back, whatever, the side, because I'm maybe not paying attention to them as much. But if I could see them, I'll actually play up to the camera, because I want good shots. I want them to have good shots of me. So if they could somehow get my attention a little bit, I'll like actually go over there and do some poses and stuff to help them out and myself.
Right. Do you find that happens a lot, Joe, where people do try to pull you into taking the shot?
I kind of like that sometimes. The first time that happened was Rudolph Schenker with the Scorpions. And I hadn't been really shooting very long at that point, and he came running out on stage during the first song and ran right up to me and was pointing right at me, and he had this angry look on his face, and I thought he was pissed at me that I was in the wrong spot or something. I didn't know what was going on, and then I realized, oh my God, the guy's actually mugging for me. And that's always great when they do that. And the band that's best for that is Kiss.
Right.
The first 3 songs, they don't even notice the crowd. They are just focused on the photographers. And that's why ever since you were 7 years old, every picture of Kiss you saw was fucking great, because that's a priority for them, and it's smart. That's why there's so many.
The rule, right? I mean, they usually will say like, okay, photos just for the first 3 songs.
Sometimes it's first 2. If it's only 1 song, I won't even do the show.
Once we get sweaty, you will cease your photography immediately.
For Garth Brooks, it was the first 30 seconds of like the first couple songs.
He gets sweaty very fast.
And who's the dumbass that's going to sit there with the stopwatch and stop everybody after 30 seconds? So yeah, some of the rules are ridiculous. But I used to hate the 3-song rule, but I love it now, because I can usually get what I want in 3 songs, and I can get out of there. I can beat the traffic home. It takes me 2 or 3 hours to process my photos. Most places that I shoot for need them by the open of business the next day. Right. So if I stayed for the whole show, I'd be up till 4 or 5 in the morning. So I can get out of there, especially places like Blossom, Chris, that is a traffic nightmare. Oh, yeah. If you wait till the end of the show, it'll take you 2 hours just to get out of the parking lot. Mm-hmm. So I get out of there after 3 songs. I sail home, and I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, unless it's a good show. And that's always, and I do want to bring that up, because this pisses me off. When you told me this, I wanted to start calling people, but I cannot believe that when you're doing an absolute service for basically free for the venues, because let's face it, you're showcasing that the venue looks good. That's kind of what you're doing. And then they tell you got to get the fuck out because you didn't buy tickets to an event that you're working. That's bullshit, man.
Well, some shows I can stay, like Blossom. A lot of times I can just check my camera and sit on the lawn and watch the show if I want to. But most of the shows, it's really regimented. I mean, you have no ability to do anything outside of what they tell you to do. They lead you to the stage. If it's in the pit or the soundboard, they stand there while you're shooting, and then they lead you away. And if you don't have a ticket, they take you to the door. And I don't really think I don't have any animosity to them for doing that. It's just the way things work. If you don't have a ticket, you don't have a ticket. And I've been doing it long enough. If I want to see a show, most of the time I can just ask, and they'll put me on the guest list for a ticket. I can check my camera, and then I can check out the show.
Yeah, but there's you're talking about pit courtesy. To me, there's journalistic courtesy, and the ever famous journalist row does exist. I've sat in journalist row a million times at venues, and there's always 10 seats that are empty, or in the first 10 rows somewhere, because that's where the journalists are supposed to sit. And when the venues get cheap on that, that's just weak sauce,
Well, and how cheap are some of those promoters and some of those venues and stuff nowadays? I mean, they're as cheap as like iHeart or Cheap Channel or any of those places. So they don't give a shit.
No,
they don't care. Thanks for the photos. Get the fuck out of here.
Now
that's
beat it.
Works.
And make sure you spell the name of our venue right.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
With all these stupid venue names. I hate these stupid corporate venue names.
Yeah, I don't even know any of them anymore. I still call it's still Nautica. It's still a Jacobs Field. It's still the Q.
I call the Q. It's one letter. It's easy to type.
Yeah.
It's better than
I still call the San Diego Sports Arena Jack Murphy Stadium.
Yeah, it's all. We don't need to change the name every 10 years.
It's changed like 20 times.
Yeah, and Rocket Mortgage Field House. Yeah, okay,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Mattress Firm Arena.
It's all craziness now. The crypto bankrupt center or whatever.
Bankruptcy center, the crypto.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what. Every place has these weird, stupid names now, and it's like, how are you supposed to remember this shit?
The Depend Undergarments Arena.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. We did a lot of drugs and alcohol when we were going to these venues. We don't remember this shit.
They should sell Depends at the merch booth instead of tour shirts. They should have tour diapers now that we're getting so fucking old.
We got Petco Park. We got Petco Parks.
Petco Park.
But the cool thing is that's what it was when they made it. So I'm used to calling it that. We got our own baseball here in San Diego place.
Nice. Is that what that's called now? Petco Park?
Petco Park.
Ugh, that's horrible. That's terrible. Yeah. So Joe, let's talk people that suck. Let's
How much time do you have?
I got plenty. I love this story, and I don't know that I know you've told it on CMS, but this is a somewhat different audience. Tell us about your good friend Marilyn Manson.
He's just a huge asshole, as everybody knows, and he just likes to fuck with photographers.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to spit on photographers. He tried to spit on me. And if you don't want a photographer at your show, just don't credential them to shoot the show. And he would grab a red Solo cup with water in it and walk across the stage while he was singing and pretend like he had nothing going on. And then he would turn at the last moment and just try and shower someone's equipment to ruin their gear. I mean, when I'm doing a show, I've got about $5,000 worth of shit around my neck.
Right.
And this asshole's trying to throw water on my gear.
Piercy does that to me. Every show, he gets water. He gets the water off the drum riser, and he thinks it's super cool. He'll pour it all over the cymbals, and it's usually a borrowed kit that we have. And so it's like recently, the owner of the kit got so pissed at that he poured water all over it so that when Scotty would hit the cymbals, it would splash water up, which is a cool visual effect. And then he goes, "I'll be standing there rocking out," and they'll go, "Yeah," and he just the water just goes, it just lands all over my guitar and the pickups. I'm like, God damn it. I always try, when I see him about to do it now, I kind of turn and kind of walk away a little bit because I can see it coming. But
you'd probably get electrocuted from that, couldn't you?
I think I might. I might have a case here.
Just pretend like you're electrocuted one time. Just start convulsing and shit and fall on the floor and see what he does.
I might have to do that.
I think you did do that. Didn't you do that last summer, Eric? Or was that a real heart attack? Now the truth's coming out.
Uh-oh.
Sadly, that was real.
If you have a show on April 1st, that's when you should do it.
There you go.
Right, there you go.
Nice. Well, other people go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to continue with the Marilyn Manson thing.
Ahead.
So I was talking to this girl who was from one of the services. I don't know if it was Associated Press or Getty or somewhere like that, where she traveled to Cleveland for the show. Actually, it was in Youngstown.
Sure.
At Covelli. And she said that he actually spit on her at a show where he actually spit on her face. And so she shot him the next time he came through town. I think it might have been in San Diego or somewhere in California. And she said she filled up a water bottle with her own piss and had it in her camera bag. And when he came to the front of the stage and was leaning down, she grabbed the water bottle and squeezed the side of it and showered him with her own piss. And that's probably the greatest story any photographer has ever told me in 20 years.
That's fucking
He
hysterical.
probably liked it though. That's the sad
That's what
part.
I was just thinking. He was like, "Thanks."
Yeah.
It's like, tasty.
You know what? One time I saw the band The Prodigy. You remember them?
Yeah.
Sadly, the guy died. The fire starter. That guy, he passed away. But when I went and saw him, I remember like it was kind of gnarly. I didn't know what to expect with that band. Like they had there was like a black dude in the band, and he had like all these like kung fu moves. He was like, yeah, and then they would like whatever, and then that guy would be like, I'm the fire starter. But then he bent over. There was like a pit of people there, and I remember he like bent over and just spit. It was like he might have had a bunch of water in his mouth. I don't know, but he spit, and this chick in the front row was just all, yeah.
Oh,
Like she liked it. She liked that shit.
Yuck.
Keep your hands and your fucking body fluids off of me. You know,
I think times have changed. That wouldn't fly nowadays.
You can throw me out if you don't want me to shoot. You can say anything, but just keep your personal shit off of me. You know,
right?
Dude, do you shoot or have you shot the bands that use like props, like an ICP or a Guar or whatever?
Yeah, I shot Guar, but I shot from the balcony at House of Blues. There was no way I was going to be down in the pit for that show.
Do people get in the pit to shoot that?
No, I mean, no, I've never seen anybody. My one venue security guy who was in charge of the venue security at House of Blues was a good friend of mine, and he was standing there inside the pit. And after the third song, he was just covered in blood and fake spooge and everything. And he had this look on his face like his dog just died. And I zoomed in and got a great picture of him, and it hangs on the wall in his house now.
That is so funny.
Because the odorist just showered him for 3 songs.
Right. How about this guy I got on screen right now? How's he?
I've never had any problem with Dave.
Okay.
I shot Megadeth 3 or 4 times.
What the hell is he wearing there? A Hold That Tiger shirt? Hold that tiger. Hold that tiger.
I'm always try and really make it a point to. I don't want to attract anybody's attention on stage.
Right.
My biggest fear is that I'm going to piss somebody off on stage, and they're going to say something into the mic and point at me, and everybody's sight is going to be directed on me. That's like my biggest fear. Although that did happen one time, and it was kind of cool because it was Joe Jonas. I got thrown out of the pit at House of Blues by Joe Jonas for shooting him.
Very nice.
Does that give me like street cred?
Yeah, I see a metal card intact.
He had vocal tracks going on.
Right.
And the second song, the end of the song, the band like stopped cold, but his vocals trailed like after the band.
Right.
And he took the mic away from his mouth, and the kept going. And I may or may not have been a little buzzed when I shot that show, because how do you go to see Joe Jonas unless you smoke a joint or two, you know?
Right.
And I just burst out laughing when he took the mic away and the vocals continued. I just burst out laughing, and he just pointed at me and pointed like that. And I was like, okay, I left and got out of there after 2 songs.
We just saw that with Alanis Morissette recently.
Yeah.
She threw somebody out.
No, we just saw
the
her.
power went out at the gig. The power went out and something on stage, but there was still vocals coming out. I don't know.
I saw that once with and I still remember the show. It was White Zombie and the Ramones, and Rob Zombie was doing his bullshit. He's like that, that he does the shaking his head back and forth thing, and the vocals were coming, and he hit himself in the face with the microphone, and he's doing that shit, and he dropped the microphone, and the vocals just kept on coming. Yeah. And the worst part was the microphone went forward into the pit. So he couldn't even quickly pick it up, and he just kind of walked over to like what was the girl's name? Sean's microphone, and pretended like he was singing into her mic then.
You know what? I saw Eminem do something interesting where, like, because these rappers, they got a lot of words they got to remember.
Sure.
And I've only been to a couple live rap shows, and but Eminem, he stopped singing and this track was going, but it was like kind of quietly going. It wasn't as loud as his vocal, and I think it was there to remind him of where he was. Maybe I've seen the Beastie Boys not use that shit and mess up. Where they had to like stop and go, oh, gotta, because once he like lost the groove, he was like, oh fuck, I'm never gonna get
right.
This.
I'd rather have that than someone karaokeing to their own shit, you know. I shoot these pop stars like Britney Spears or Katy Perry or Madonna, and they're running around the stage, and the vocals are perfect. I mean, they're perfect, and they're running all. They have those little, Time Life subscription mics on their face,
Right.
and they're running around, and things are perfect. And then between songs, they actually turn their mic on so they can talk to the crowd, and they're out of breath, and then the song starts, and again, it's back to being completely picture perfect. There's actually a video of Britney Spears. She had a front of house sound engineer that I think was disgruntled and quit or got fired. And they were doing a DVD. They were recording a video, and he actually recorded the actual vocal track that she was singing into her mic. And then he overdubbed it into the actual video.
Nice.
If you just go to YouTube and put in like Britney Spears real voice, it's the most horrific thing you've ever heard.
I'll bet.
It's gut wrenching, and that's
Nice.
that's what they really. Some of those people really sound.
Yeah, it's a crime. But I'll tell you what's not a crime, dude. This kittencrazy.org is the website, I believe, correct?
Yes, kittencrazy.org, and there's a banner on the front page that will take you to all the auctions. And there's 100, I think, that are going on. And they're not auctions, they're just buy it now. So you can just go on and buy a photo. If you want a photo, it's a fixed price. You don't have to, the auction won't take it up to $80 or $90. You can just buy it for a fixed price. And there's a lot of other packages where there's like 3 or 4 photos included, like for a Scorpions listing or whatever. There's photos of each band member and stuff like that. So
is this Kitten Krazy? Like, is the Krazy with a K?
They're both with K's. Kitten and Krazy are both K's. Kittencrazy.org. Yeah.
Okay. Kittencrazy.org, everyone.
That's right. Kittencrazy.org. Okay. Joe, how long are the auctions going to be running for?
They're going to run until Monday or Tuesday, but since they're buy it nows, I might leave them up a little bit longer. Okay. That photo you just put up, that was one of the first non-local bands I ever shot. Saxon? At Peabody's, yeah.
Saxon, great. What's his? I'm not the hugest fan of Saxon. I will admit that. I mean, they're cool, but I don't know. I never thought that they were like the second coming, like a lot of people do. But Biff is the nicest guy in the world. I mean,
Biff is great. I'm a fan of about their first 6 or 7 records, maybe up until Rock the Nations. I don't know what album number that was, but I love all those albums.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the early stuff's good. The latter stuff's been really good too. Pretty heavy and
there's always about 3 or 4 songs on every album that are just incredibly great.
Well, if you like Biff, not to give myself a plug here because this is Joe's segment, but you can catch my interview with Biff tomorrow on Chris Aiken Presents.
Nice.
We'll actually be live tomorrow or tonight at midnight, actually.
Sweet. Well, feel free to use that photo if you want.
I will be using it, and you can bet on that. Well, Joe, one more time, kittencrazy.org. The auctions are going on now. It is, in all seriousness, I know we're talking about rock and dickheads and metal and everything else, but let's be honest. This is these kind of charities need to happen. And even coming from me, the biggest non-pet guy there is, these kind of charities need to happen because if there's not anybody putting the money into keeping these kind of organizations afloat, then you know what's going to happen. They're going to be taking these animals, they're going to be sticking them in the neck with a needle, and they're going to be unloading them at the crematory by the hundreds.
They're going to be putting them in Chinese food.
Yes. Or there's going to be 100 cats shitting in your backyard. You know?
That's right. That too.
And it really is a great place. They adopt out over 650 cats a year.
Wow.
Nice.
And they're only open 5 days a week. So they adopt out a lot of cats. They're doing really great work. If a cat gets hit by a car, comes in, has to have its paw amputated or its eye removed, those surgeries are thousands of dollars.
Sure.
And they pay for that to happen. And the adoption fee is still the same, $100 or $110 or whatever the current rate is. So they do eat a lot of money in keeping these cats healthy and making them healthy and getting them ready for adoptions. It's just really a great place. A lot of places like the APL, you go in and there's a wall of cages and you're trying to gauge a cat's personality looking through a cage.
They're traumatized, yeah.
And the cats don't like being in a cage no more than the human likes being in jail. And at Kitten Krazy, they're all free roaming. So the cats are a lot more comfortable. Their true personalities come out. It's just really, it's a great place. I really love volunteering there. I wouldn't work for free if it wasn't a really great place. I wouldn't offer my photos for free,
right?
To give 100% of the proceeds of selling my photo. Believe me, I need the money. I'd rather keep it for myself, but I love doing this for them because they're truly a worthy organization. And
do they want a picture of my Nani with the gun at Chris?
Probably not.
Buy it now.
Probably not. Well, one more time, kittencrazy.org is the website. JoeKleon.com is the website after the auctions. If once you've bought something from the auction, once you realize how great the art is, then you go to JoeKleon.com and you buy some more art.
Yeah, if you have any artist requests, let me know, and I'll let you know if I've shot them. I have 1,500 shows in my portfolio over 20 years. And you can also check out Kitten Krazy on Facebook as well. And again, it's 2 Ks, Kitten and Krazy are both with Ks. And it's just really a great, when you walk in there, it's just such a different vibe from any other shelter that you've ever been in.
Right on. Well, Joe, it's been great having you on the show here, man. And I hope that some of our listeners will go over there and buy something from the auction. One more time, kittencrazy.org. And Joe, thanks so much for joining us here.
And my one more thing real quick. My friend Anastasia Pantios, who's a legendary Cleveland photographer from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I do art gallery exhibits with her. She's donated some photos, like some photos from the legendary Motorhead show at the Variety Theater that you know about, Chris. And you know, David Bowie's first show in the United States was in Cleveland at Music Hall.
Right.
And she has photos of that from 1972, and she has some really iconic photos. So she has donated some as well. So there's a lot of really great stuff on those 100 things on eBay. Not just my stuff, but early stuff from the 70s and really iconic photos from her. So
excellent.
I hope to see everybody there. And yeah, Kitten Krazy is really a great organization, and they really deserve the help. And if you don't want a photo, you can still go to kittencrazy.org and just donate.
There you go. Well, do something, people. Stop being cheap fucks. Do something good.
Manoni's going to bust a cat.
That's
and
right.
you've been great about helping me promote these in the past, Chris, and I really appreciate that. Even though you're not a cat guy, you're still cool enough to let me do that, and that's I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
It's all good, man. Not a problem.
I got to do CMS again, where we come over with a bottle of bourbon and we sit down, and at 9 o'clock and after midnight, we're just having fun. Yeah, talking to your virtual girlfriend. What was her name?
Rhonda.
Rhonda. Yeah.
with my what was my Jaja and Charo, my pet turtles.
That was hilarious. That was so fun.
So many people have emailed that's the funniest thing they've ever heard.
When I was driving home, my side actually hurt from laughing so hard for 6 hours with your Rhonda stories.
That shit was funny. But all right, man. kittencrazy.org is the website. JoeKleon.com is his website. And Joe, thanks so much for joining us here on Chris Aiken Presents.
I love you, Chris. Thank you, my bud.
All right, brother. Take care, man.
Peace.
All right, peace.